Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines here. Is Bitcoin in trouble in the United States? We're going to take a look at it. And David Schwartz on automated market makers. Ladies and gentlemen, don't sleep on this. We may have just seen the greatest use case for XRP since its inception. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it's $1.73 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.2%. 42,900 plus for Bitcoin, 2,300 plus for Ethereum, and 96.1 billion plus for market cap of Tether. XRP is 51 cents. We're off by 1.9 to 24-hour and off by 3.5 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly here is between 50 and 52 cents. It's almost 51 cents and 52.19. So it's not really moving around a ton this morning, but we'll keep an eye on it. I'll tell you what is moving. It's the countdown on the days till this conference. XRP Las Vegas, the largest XRP conference in the world, May 3rd, May 4th, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss it. Come be a part of this. Make the investment into yourself. You know why? Because of automated market makers, if nothing else. And there's 100 other reasons why. But let me tell you, this conference could prove to be the most important event that you ever go to as an XRP holder because of the fact that automated market makers have crossed the 80% threshold. And if they hold it for 2 weeks, by February 14th, it will become a part of the ledger and a new use case for XRP holders will be created. You want to be prepared. You want to be fulfilled with all the knowledge and the conversations. This is going to be the best place to do that. I can guarantee you. And it's going to be an incredible time. And let me tell you something else, too. Remarkable companies and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Can't wait to hear Quincy Jones talk. It was unbelievable last time. John Deaton, Fabio is going to be there. Sologenic Corium. We got Perry M. Boring from the Digital Chamber of Commerce. Chris Giancarlo. David Schwartz is going to be there and talk about automated market makers. This is why I tell you this is probably going to be one of the most important events that you could attend because of automated market makers coming to the ledger. Simon McLaughlin from CEO of Uphold, CEO of iTrust. We're going to have the COO of Link2. Eleanor Tarrant's going to be there. Ray Fuentes will be there. Jeremy Hogan virtually. So many other incredible people, ladies and gentlemen. Don't sleep on it and get your ticket. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very, very important conference. This here from Echo X, shout out to him. Bitcoin mining is over in the U.S. Take a listen to this quick clip here and what the point is.
Bitcoin mining is over in America. If you haven't been paying attention,
over 2% of the U.S. electricity generation now goes to Bitcoin. This is supposed to be the future of finance, right? I'm very curious to see how is that going to work out and play out. Is it just me or is it coincidental that we are having these bank liquidity issues at the same time as you had digital assets such as XRP and XLM that are having their automatic market makers clawbacks or their smart contracts starting to go live here soon on their network?
Which is creating liquidity.
Let's not forget that XRP and XLM are both pre-mined and deflationary.
Bingo.
Let's hear what the rest of the Bitcoin capitalist has to say.
if you haven't been paying attention, President Biden just issued an emergency data collection of all Bitcoin miners in the United States starting in a week. And if you do not comply, it is a $10,366 per a day fine. Ooh. He is using the Energy Administration to collect a survey on Bitcoin mines, their coordinates, how much they're using, every piece of information, where their company is domiciled. And they are putting together an extensive report. This is a subdivision of the Department of Energy, and they're going to submit it to the president. And guess what? They're going to say, hey, these miners are stressing the critical electric energy infrastructure of the United States, and then they are going to ban this. If you're in the U.S. and you're in mining, I would start trying to sell it to someone else and get out of that industry.
Okay, so this is a big deal, right? I mean, we need to watch where this goes. Look, I have exposure to Bitcoin because of the spot ETFs. But again, we know proof of work draws a lot of computing and electricity power. And this has to be considered if you're going to have exposure to this asset, right? Just like we know the truth about Satoshi was identified by Department of Homeland Security, yet the other government agencies act like they didn't hear it. Huh? What? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Right? Okay. All right. So these are things we need to be aware of. Again, I have exposure to Bitcoin myself, so I've really got an ear to the ground to this because I want to see what happens here. No, you can't stop the technology. This has been a truth since technology's been a thing. But you could regulate it or tax the shit out of it and tax it out of existence if you want to. And that's been my point since before I had a channel. We need to be very careful that the government doesn't do something where it starts penalizing people for either mining Bitcoin, or if they wanted to, they could say, listen, if we catch you taking and accepting Bitcoin for haircuts or restaurants or your business, it's a $50,000 fine or 18 months in jail. You know, they could come up with whatever they want, and they could do this with anything they want. And don't believe that they can't, because it's still true. So I'm not saying I want that to happen, because I don't want that to happen. I think it's quite simple that if they want to do this and they want to use proof of work and you want to do mining, then register. Come up with a registration fee and a yearly tax to be a miner, and then you get your, that's how the government would normally do it, right? So probably at the end of the day, something like that will take place. We'll see what happens. Then I want you to listen to this about whether the dollar will be worthless by 2030.
I think by 2030, the dollar is worthless.
When we talk about printing so much money your face melts, what we're talking about is the need for the United States, for the Treasury to continue to have inflation, to have a higher GDP number on nominal terms, meaning just more money to tax, higher tax receipts to pay down all that debt that they're issuing. That means that there's going to be asset inflation. If they create all this money, then you want to own things like Bitcoin, because that cannot be inflated. That will be your ultimate hedge against this disaster scenario where they print so much money that your eyes bleed.
Everybody's here obviously understands the issues and the problems. A lot of people ask when, and none of us know when. It feels to me like we're in it right now with what the 10-year is doing. I'd be shocked if it takes more than a year for this thing to come unglued and for them to have to pivot massively. Shocked. I think by 2030, the dollar is worthless. We've got full-fledged hyperinflation.
Thank God.
And there you have it. So, and they feel that Bitcoin will be the answer to such a situation. And everybody's got their own opinion. That's not my point. My point here is, I have to believe, as a United States citizen, certainly I'm not a fan of the government. I think you guys have picked up on that undertow. But the reality for me here is this, is that, I don't think the government, is going to sit back and watch the dollar just become hyperinflated to the point of collapse. First of all, the world's not in a place where it can all accept Bitcoin, so you're not going and getting milk with Bitcoin in the U.S. right now. That's not happening. Now, that may change in 6 months, but that ain't happening right now. I know they're saying 2030, but my thought is that there is plenty that can be done. And I don't think for an instant, and I find it to be quite naive and short-sighted, to be perfectly honest, to think that the government is just going to sit back until 2030 and watch the power that they have dwindle from their hands. Yeah, that's not happening. I don't see that happening. However, I do see real-world tokenization coming to the XRP ledger, and I do see the traditional markets being tokenized. And as that happens, and as those value protocols are chosen for that project and for that to happen, we will begin to see liquidity become tokenized and move to the new payment rails, the new value protocols that will move and settle value in damn near real time. And I think the XRP ledger is one of them.
To see, as real-world asset tokenization projects grow, I think the XRP ledger is going to be a really good platform for them to launch on. Particularly because of the low fees and because of the integration with the DEX, with the proximity to sort of the movement of funds. The ability, if someone's going to buy What do you want to do with a real world tokenized asset? You want to buy it, you want to sell it, you want to hold it, you want to transfer it. And if you want to buy it and sell it, you want to be able to do that with whatever asset is convenient for you. You don't want to tie, if you tokenize some sort of debt, like you don't want to tie it to US dollars, because then that limits access to it to people who have sort of proximity to US dollars. One of the things the XRP Ledger is good for is giving you sort of proximity to many different assets, and that exchange is seamlessly built in. So I think that's one of the many reasons why the XRP Ledger is going to be a good place to launch tokenized real world assets. I think we'll see that in the next year, year and a half.
So that is extremely promising to me, right? And excuse me, what are we going to need to see that? Legislative clarity, right? Because there isn't an institution around this world that's going to take a chance to put what they hold for themselves and their clients and customers onto any blockchain without understanding where the legal liability is. Where is all the accountability in this? That's what we're talking about here. It really is that straight ahead and that simple. Now, we have a lot to hear, and I want you to get it. Ripple Labs and the European Commission consult on the EU regulatory framework on crypto assets, March 2020. This is a reminder to me that, people think, oh, well, Ripple failed. They fell short. It's like, did they? How come they're still a part of the European Commission then? Here, I got another question. How come when things happen every year, like massive world events like World Economic Forum in Davos every year, I didn't see Bitcoin or Ethereum there, but I did see Ripple, Stellar, and Circle there? Huh. I don't know about you, but I can carry the one on that one. This is 7-minute compilation here from XRP Drops, and it's fantastic. And it's everything about automated market makers, because I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to become an expert in this. And as I said, this is not even an upsell. You owe it to yourself to make the investment to come to XRP Las Vegas, to hear David in the same room that you're in, and everybody else that's there that's going to be smart and knowledgeable on these things, so you can get educated very quickly about what's coming. This is a new use case to the XRP token and ledger, and I think it's going to be a game changer. Take a listen.
Now, something near and dear to my heart, the automated market maker specification. I almost said automated money maker, which actually is kind of fun.
So what's an automated market maker? An automated market maker is also a type of decentralized exchange protocol that pool liquidity from the users. And for trade execution, it uses a mathematical formula that takes into account the current liquidity of the assets in the pool and provide an instant quote for the trade. So instead of referring back to the order book to get a price quote, you'll get it as a result of a mathematical formula, of a predefined algorithm.
So I believe the most important component for an AMM-based DEX is the liquidity pool. So essentially, that is a smart contract that can hold assets and has this embedded algorithm to compute the exchange rate between two different crypto assets. So compared with an order book-based exchange where you need where for a trade to be executed, you need a buy side and a sell side. With the AMM-based DEX, though, an exchange user is essentially trading against the liquidity pool. So in that sense, well, the exchange users will be the most important actor within this AMM-based DEX ecosystem. And we also need liquidity providers who would put liquidity in the liquidity pool. So the initial liquidity provider would deploy a pool contract by putting some initial funds into the smart contract to form a DEX pool, and afterwards the exchange users would essentially trade against the liquidity pool. So
the DEX launched in 2012. It allowed tokenization of any kind of asset and the ability to trade and move them in just seconds on chain. It provided like globally competitive liquidity, but there was no way to get yield, and sometimes there just wasn't the sort of liquidity that people might need. So RippleX focused on differentiating our DEX with automated market making in conjunction with the central limit order book and integrated with payments, so that these three features work together to provide a feature set that is unmatched.
That's what we're talking about here. Anything to anything. You're talking about the DEX on the XRP ledger. You're talking about the world exchange. You're talking about every major exchange in the world, NYSE, NASDAQ, right? Hong Kong exchange, all the exchanges around the world being ultimately plugged into the world exchange first. Then you can source oil to gold, oil to dollars, dollar to dollar. It doesn't matter, because you'll end up building a ecosystem around the world through the decentralized exchange to make a market in seconds for anything to anything. That's what the goal is here. And it's super exciting to watch a first step like this happen with automated market makers. This is really a remarkable time for every one of us as XRP holders. Listen to this clip of David Schwartz, just recent here. Listen to this.
You know, I'm excited about the AMM amendment, particularly because, like, I have access to investment products of all kinds. It's very easy for me to put my money wherever I want. But there's a lot of people who just don't have good options, and the AMM doesn't get 100% to that, because AMM putting funds into an AMM is not exactly safe, because you always have exposure to some volatile asset. You know, I would think of an AMM as a safe place to keep money relative to, let's say, just holding Bitcoin or just holding XRP. In other words, like, if that's your comparison, it's fairly safe. But if your comparison is to, like, putting money in a bank or buying, publicly traded stocks, it's not particularly safe, because you have exposure just to the whole volatility of the cryptocurrency space, if nothing else. But I'm really excited about things that will give people exposure, the abilities to get really safe return. I guess what we start out by, like, trying to give millionaires, people have talked about over collateralized loans as, like, a way to get millionaires tax efficient. I have a whole bunch of XRP and I've made millions of dollars on it. How can I spend it tax efficiently? That's interesting technically, and you can build market share that way, but does that make the world a better place? Whereas, like, if you come up with a way to get people whose alternative might be stuffing cash in their mattress, a way to get a couple of percentage points at relatively low risk, like, that's more in the sort of make the world a better place kind of vein.
Hey, David. Quick question.
David.
Hey, David.
Oh, they were all on him there. Boy, hey, David. God bless him. Look, I tell you, this is a remarkable time in our lives as XRP holders. There is a new use case for XRP coming that can unlock what we're talking about, this greatest asset that we've ever seen introduced to the monetary system to complement it, not take it down. And you hold it. I don't know about you, but that is one hell of a feeling I've got right now. And for those that really want to tell you what's going on out here, Crypto Mike says it best here. Yeah, XRP's bearish, especially after they won the lawsuit against the SEC and are legally the only crypto that isn't a security. And if you want to call it bearish price action right now at 51 cents and that it could go lower, you go right ahead. Because if you got the ability to see the bigger picture, I don't think you care like I don't care. We're going into Freedom Zone. Let me tell you something. Come on in. I want to invite you to come on into the Freedom Zone. Listen, this is a place where we can share topics, conversation, and ideas that I know that I'm not able to share on my channel. So a lot of times these things aren't even really directly connected to crypto. But the truth of the matter is, it's also a great way to support the channel for next to nothing. And we appreciate all the support here. So make sure you go to digperspectives.com, click on the Freedom Zone, and come on in. Because today, oh boy, today we are getting into it. There's some geopolitical events, and we need to touch on them. And we're going to do it right now in the Freedom Zone.